Hello everybody, Jediwarlock here and welcome back to another video here on the channel. Today we are returning to the world of Azeroth for episode 3 of the WoW Rocks series, where I look into some of the most geologically interesting areas of the game map. In this episode, we're traveling back to the Eastern Kingdoms to take a look at the Alterac Mountains, an integral part of the Warcraft 2 story, as well as a rather out-of-the-way leveling zone for players level 30 to 40 in Classic WoW. Also, the channel has been growing rapidly, and we are almost to 500 subscribers, which to me was unthinkable even a couple months ago. So to all of you who have liked, commented, or subscribed to the channel recently, thank you very much. So, with all that being said, let's get right into it and explore the world of Warcraft. The Alterac Mountains zone is a land of two intersecting biomes. At lower elevations, gentle green slopes encircle the central mountain range, which rise up into towering headlands in the south, facing the lands of Hillsbrad, and curve eastward in the northern range toward the serene Lordamere Lake. In the center of this verdant buffer is the alpine crown of mountains that hosts year-round snowfields and sprawling ruins of the once great city of Alterac itself. While it's hard to ascertain exactly where the world designers were drawing from when it came to this region, my mind goes to places such as Three Sisters Peaks in the state of Oregon, or perhaps, more dramatically, the picturesque Mount Denali in Alaska, both of which are amazing geologic formations ringed by gentler steppes and greenery. While not directly linked in the game map, the frigid Alterac Valley is also found here in a secluded part of these mountains, which is one of Classic WoW's most famous battleground areas. From the frosty trees to the snowfall and frozen water, it is obvious that Alterac Valley is located near the summit of the mountains, with the rest of the open world environment being situated lower toward the surrounding grassland as it appears in-game. This addition to the canon world, though only apparent in PvP, evokes images of Yellowstone National Park in winter, a hidden plateau or valley high above the surrounding land containing desirable resources but also a cold beauty. Or hey, maybe it's just that spot where they film all of those winter car commercials. The four headland areas of the mountains, imposing features jutting out along the south steps, appear to be references to real-life headlands, or naze formations as some are called, like those on the coasts of England. While those are often a boundary between land and sea, the Alterac headlands serve as a dividing line between the region and the adjacent Hillsbrad foothills. Let's take a look at these headlands in greater detail, along with other important geologic spots in this zone. The four headlands extending outward away from Alterac are known as the Fingers of Hillsbrad. From east to west, the fingers are Gavin's Naze, The Headland, Coran's Dagger, and Sofera's Naze. Adventurers travel frequently between and upon these four headlands while hunting wildlife and traveling to quest objectives, but I think it's important to also highlight these features as some of the game's most unique geologic formations. In the north of the Alterac Mountains are the Uplands, a green passage within the hills leading from the fallen town of Strawnbrad all the way out to Lordamere Lake. According to the lore of this area, the land is very fertile, and a few farms can be found here in the space between the mountains. While there are a few outlets in this channel leading into the ruins of Alterac, this crescent-shaped area is largely closed off to the rest of this zone, isolating it from all but the most dedicated explorers or bounty hunters. The namesake of the entire zone lies within its center, Alterac was once a bustling city-state within the Great Alliance before the Second War, having since fallen to ruin when its leaders betrayed the Alliance and attempted to join the Horde. Now, the remnants of the capital lie overrun by ogres and yetis, waiting for adventurers to come liberate the lost city. The ruins are essentially surrounded by mountains, and in most places where there are passes out of the area, towers and walls block the way out. The area is essentially one giant basin, and the mountains surrounding it are the highest in the zone, though it is implied that Alterac Valley, which would be situated somewhere in this area, would form the true summit of the mountain range. This is the state of Alterac Mountains as we know them in classic WoW. However, I believe there is quite a bit of evidence pointing to some more extreme landforms being present in the region long ago. Let's go ahead and take a look. In an alpine region such as Alterac, with snow and frosty peaks, the main thing myself, and Wowmaster for that matter, wanted to investigate in this episode was the possibility of glaciers existing here in the distant past. Glaciers, contrary to what a lot of people believe, aren't actually just frozen rivers. They are massive, moving walls of ice that can move downhill like a liquid despite being almost entirely frozen solid. There are two big pieces of evidence we can turn to as proof of glacial activity: U-shaped valleys and moraines, which are piles of rock or sediment deposited by glaciers moving across land. The former, the U-shaped valley, is formed when glaciers move through an area and naturally erode the sides of canyons into more of a U-shape instead of the typical V-shaped valley. To me, this feature seemed instantly recognizable within this zone. The uplands seem to be a perfect and unique candidate. While not a perfect U-shape, this valley has no counterpart that I can think of anywhere else in the game, and the fact that it's right here in the zone where we're considering glaciers is very compelling evidence, in my opinion. I couldn't find any convincing evidence of moraines here in the North Valley, but it's possible they were deposited in the area where Lordamere Lake now sits, meaning they were eventually washed away. Additionally, this area's theoretical closeness to Alterac Valley, which could host one, if not several, glacial origination points, confirms it as the remnant of a once flowing glacier. Elsewhere in the zone, there is some tentative signs of other glaciers. In the east and south, there are some small rocky outcroppings which could be taken to represent moraines created by other glaciers, but the landscapes here are less indicative. However, this evidence cannot explain the Hillsbrad finger formations, and that requires a theory more tectonic in nature. As we all know, the world of Azeroth has changed dramatically over not so long a time. For the sake of this video, let's assume that Azeroth has some sort of plate tectonic system similar to that of Earth's, with the only difference being that it operates on the magnitude of thousands of years and not millions or billions of years. When two tectonic plates collide below the surface of the planet, the compressing force can cause geographic uplift and mountain formation in the regions above the collision. While I don't have time today to look into the entire tectonic system of Azeroth, which I could save for another video, the evidence here points to a collision between two plates being responsible for not just the building of the Alterac Mountains, but the four headlands as well. I propose that back then, all of the headlands were connected as one big plateau. Over thousands of years, snowmelt runoff, or perhaps smaller glaciers within the growing mountain range, ran across parts of this plateau, separating them into the distinct headlands we see in-game today. As a final note, I think this collision theory ties back to the Uplands Valley, as the uplift of the mountain range could explain why the ancient Glacier Valley is no longer perfectly U-shaped, and is instead sloped upward toward Alterac proper. So, there you have it, my investigation into how and why the Alterac Mountains came to be, and what sorts of interesting geologic features could have been found here long ago. I tried going with a slightly faster paced video today. Let me know what you think of it. Thank you all so much for watching. Make sure to like the video, comment down below with your thoughts, subscribe to join the Jedi Order, and until next time, peace.